Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1.5 EU Championship. The Singapore Grand Prix qualifying session is underway and we do have a decent chunk of qualifying to commentate through this time around as requested, but also just to try and make up from yesterday's disaster class of forgetting to start the stream before the race had even begun. Well, after the race had even begun. That's K-Faz, unfortunately out of the qualifying session. Not entirely sure what's going on there, but their cars were tired out on track. That does seem to be a bit of a bug, and it's unfortunately K-Faz's power that's tripped out, so we'll try and invite them a little bit later on in a few minutes and see what's going to happen with their session. We currently have Yanaldi though out on track on a lap. I say they're on a lap, they used a lot of battery for being on a lap. They're actually on 3-lap-old soft tyres, trying to get some consistent and more frequent laps in to give themselves a chance in this race. And that is Donzo Gamer out of the session. It's a 5-place grid penalty for Cravato as well. So something happens there, and I don't really know what. But maybe light contact, because there's no damage on that Ferrari. Nothing's going to be able to be done about that at the moment, unfortunately. And once again, after last weekend, we see more grid penalties be awarded by the game in qualifying. It's not really often that we see that, but this time it seems to be the case. Through the middle sector goes Elwain, the championship challenger now, as Terence has won on the bounce a few times. Looks smooth over the Anderson Bridge into the hairpin. Takes quite a wide berth on entry and then into the hairpin, having to correct a little bit, turning slightly too early. It's all just improvements for later on in the session. That's the benefit you have with setting laps earlier on. DRS available. The penultimate DRS press that you will get just before you get to the line, as you get to turn it on as you're turning left. Oh, a bit of understeer unfortunately from the front end now for Elwain, still getting the car through cleanly. The Red Bull driver in P2, can they compete with their teammate? They cannot. They cross the line and they don't get there in the end. 6/10, it would have been an improvement surely. A 29.064 needs 3/10 to get to Terence, who's out on track now to try and clear the grid. Impressive stuff. We go on board with Edver, who goes straight into the pit lane, and we won't get to see the lap. There we see Crazy Charlie Dirt come around the final corner to start their lap, but unfortunately a spin means that their lap is already over. They do not have fresh tyres, so they're just going to continue to try and do as many laps as they can. And we'll see Daft Penguin on their way out onto the track as well. As they interestingly go to move out of the way, but Charlie also making a mistake on their lap. Doesn't need to be moving out of the way. We've got Cravato across the line. P7 for the Ferrari driver, now turned permanent Ferrari driver. A 30.420. Got a bit of work to do to try and get another lap in front. We've got Daft Penguin and Terence, the next car set laps. And we'll go on board with Terence, the current pole sitter. At the final corner, DRS and ERS turned on. The first corner, very difficult to get perfect, as you have to turn in early to gain the maximum amount of time and cut that corner. They do it nicely, easy to invalidate, but they keep it clean all into turn 3 though. It was a little bit treacherous on the curve through to 5, and again on the throttle it just seems to be a little bit tricky to dance with that car through 6, and the fast right-hander, which can get tricky when you're trying to overtake other cars, into 7, braking as hard as you can, using the exit curb, not bottoming out if the setup allows, and now through a complex of corners, and we still see, as we saw yesterday, the rear end flying for many drivers. Terence keeps it nice and close to the wall as best as they can, flicking the wheel left and right through the sling over to the bridge, trying to use the momentum of the car to give them some sort of advantage out through turn 12 and 13, down the straight, DRS, and into 14. They will go one lap older tyres. They're going out on the same compound here. They're trying to preempt something happening in this race potentially. They're 7/10 of a second down on their previous best. Terence will not be able to improve on this lap in one sector, surely, as they slow down. And that's just maybe how it is with the tyres. It's just that advantageous to be on fresh tyres. Daft Penguin currently on their fresh compound. Bit aggressive, unfortunately, on the curb, and they will invalidate their lap. Edveer, on the other hand, trying to give it a go. As we're going to take a quick moment to try and get Kefaz back into the lobby if we can. Unless the internet doesn't allow them, or power, sorry, it doesn't allow them to come back online. Unfortunately, that is going to be it for Kefaz. Their session will likely be done. Now we go back to it. Out on track, a few cars getting ready, 3 minutes on the clock. We've got Isaac on track, invalidating their lap. We've still got Edveer to cross the line yet, so we'll stay on board with the purple car in the middle sector. Almost a 2/10 improvement here. They're looking to definitely get ahead of Yellowek. They need a couple more tenths of a second to get to mark, and then they could even have a look at going at Yinaldi. It's going to be a bit more complicated trying to catch the Red Bulls. Here we go though with Edveer around the final couple of corners. What's it going to be? It's going to be a P4. That's a brilliant effort, and they almost got there on Yinaldi, their fellow countryman. Brilliant stuff from Edveer there. We've got lots of cars leaving the pit lane, getting ready to go. Isaac on track though is the one that we will watch next. Very aggressive over that curb. Was that too aggressive? Have they lost some performance from that? As they send it through. Place where it gets very complicated very easily, and we saw a few drivers make some severe mistakes in qualifying and the race and crash yesterday. And they've given up on that lap. Frustration as they make a few mistakes. They've got one more opportunity to get something right. Cars fly out of the pit lane as they get ready to go once more. That is a resetting to track, Charlie. Unfortunately, that's going to be a penalty. Even qualifying, it's just how it goes. Who will be going again next? It's going to be the one and only Isaac on track, as I don't believe Edveer will do another lap. I believe it's going to be just all done for them now. And what is Isaac on track doing? And that's also a penalty as well. I'm not entirely sure what the plan is here. Just giving a quick masterclass on what you shouldn't do in qualifying when it is a league race. I think we've seen enough. Alrighty, we continue, and it's currently Terence on top as they come through the first complex of corners. We're going to get a few other cars though crossing the line first, and we'll try and figure out who is going to be the best one to watch. I think it's going to be... is it going to be the Haas car? No, we've just checked with Isaac on track. It's going to be the Williams of Mark Tunick, who got their podium last time around in Australia. Absolutely awesomely drove, as they were actually driving for the Haas team, scoring points for Williams. So it's a shame that they didn't get the job done in their car. but they just had some phenomenal pace, and they're looking very good now. 4/10 improvement. What can they do? Can they get 3/10 in the final sector to compete for pole position? A 4/10 improvement is going to be possible for the front row of the grid. They've got a few more corners to go. They've got a lot of battery to use all the way to the line. Don't lose it now. What's it going to be for Mark Tunick? And it's going to be a P2 of 28.8, and they almost had it. 5.5 Absolutely incredible. That was almost the attempt at pole position. Yellowek is going to go straight into the pit lane. It's going to be Terence one final time in the qualifying session, all the way to the limit. And they improve once more. 3.5 to dominate the rest of the field. Absolutely extraordinary. I don't believe what I'm seeing. We've still got some more cars to go through. It's Cravato in P7 to go next, as they're dead on their time from their previous best. What's it going to be? A 30.420 is their current lap time. They've got a few cars around them who are going to be improving as well, so it's not final when they cross the line. What's it going to be? The red car around the final corner, and it's going to be staying where they are. Almost 2/10 improvement though. Very good job indeed. Is that Yinaldi across the line next? And it's going to be an improvement, but by the smallest of margins, and it did not make a difference to their position. Their teammate in P10 crosses the line to finish their session. What's it going to be? And it's going to be a P9 ahead of Charlie, who will not fight back, who goes into the pit lane and cuts it, as they're actually going to get themselves a penalty for that one as well. Unfortunately, it's the way it goes. That's it done. And although they've invalidated, so it doesn't matter, Isaac on track's intentions would have got them a big penalty anyway, so I'm not entirely sure what the plan was there. But the qualifying session's done. It's Terence P1. Terence takes pole position once more. It's Elwayne in P2 and Mark Tunick in P3. And then we go through the rest of the grid. We'll go through the race director just in case. And then we will be back for the race. Don't go anywhere. Ready, hold, go! Who's going to get it into turn one? Terence gets away well on the outside line. Is it going to be side by side? The Red Bull tries to get their spaces left. The two teammates get through. Further behind, it's all a little bit chaotic. Oh, the Alpine drowned. Big contact, but luckily not a massive big problem from the rest of the field. Also, it's Charlie Bear down the order. Other than that, we seem to be pretty close, and I don't believe it. Mark Tunick's down. Mark Tunick spins around in the opening corners and loses out big time, swallowed up by the rest of the field. Absolutely tragic stuff there for the Williams car. We're going to have the inside line chosen by Isaac on track, who shows the Aston Martin the far side to the wall and gets the job done. Lovely stuff, no problems at all. Sulk into P6 already, and all of the chaos around the streets of Singapore. That is perfect. And oh, not perfect, far from it. Daft Penguin into the wall as they were following behind the McLaren driver. That was a big impact, and hopefully no one behind has any troubles. The Alpine with no front wing, we've got the Mercedes trying to capitalise on it, but they've got to be careful that they don't cause any more problems. And it's going to be very, very tricky. But we go back with the racing field as Elwain follows their teammate. We've got Ed Veer in P3, a Red Bull 1-2-3 at the moment. Isaac on track follows behind, looking to try and do something good with this race. As Sulkin sits P5. Yinaldi, the race winner from Australia, in P6, taking their first Grand Prix victory last time around this season. As that is a retirement, and that is going to be, unfortunately, a safety car deployed. As we will get a few pit stops from a few drivers further back. It's going to be the Mercedes, it's going to be Charlie Bear, it's going to be Mark Tunick. I assume into the pit lane as well. They go very slowly to make sure that they don't get any penalties. It is only a virtual safety car, so we're not quite done. It's not time to relax. It's just time to think about things a little bit deeper. There's a bit of a spread in the field, and then it gets once again close here with the rest of the pack. We've got Yellowek, Cravato, Dawson, all incredibly close. The ghost car of K-Faz unfortunately is in the mix. Hopefully we don't see any problems with that. Charlie Bear, of course, the first of the pit stoppers. But we wait for that green flag to go racing once more, and Mark Tunick gets even more problems as they unfortunately go a bit too quickly by the time this virtual safety car ends, and they're going to have to make another pit stop on only lap 2 of the Grand Prix. I don't know what to say. Such a high in Australia, and now down to a pretty big low. But this man currently doing a very good job. I think still scoring the podium P3 in Australia, despite going for 22 laps on a set of medium tyres. In general is insane. Around Australia in the F1.5 game is even more crazy. Now sitting 2 points behind their teammate in the championship. Looking very, very competitive. Yes, a P3 it was for them. P5 for Elwain, who's changed their tune since last week. And looks to be in a very competitive spirit. As it's Edvir, Isaac on track, Sulkin. Sulkin, of course, higher tier driver. We know that they've got the pace, but they still need to get the job done safely. And that is complicated. It's very easy to make a mistake when things are going well. So they've got to make sure that they don't get complacent. We've got Yellowek following Yinaldi, who's 2.2 seconds away. We're going to look at the tyre situation at the moment, as that is Yellowek going slightly wider than the Aston Martin. The tyre situation is as follows. Everybody on the medium tyre starting on this compound. All the pit stop runners. Charlie, Daft Penguin and Mark Tunick making that switch to the hard tyre as they effectively are required to at some point, so they might as well do it now so they have a bit more freedom later on in the Grand Prix. As we've got Edvir on the edge of DRS, as they do just about have it. Elwain following their teammate like, I was going to say it, some sort of spy, but I don't really know where to go from there. James Bond maybe here for Elwain, trying to hunt down their teammate. It's not quite going to go that easily into the first corner, but they do look racy, and they look like they want to try and make a move at some point here. They've got a lot of battery. They use a little bit to get as close as they can. Turning off the battery, Terrence goes into turn 5, and then down the straight they dart it back on. But here we go, Elwain is blasting. Are they going to get there? They're not, and that is a quick car in a straight line. Terrence will stay ahead. Brilliant stuff right there, and this group of cars seems to be pretty much close together, although Sulkin has made that move on Isaac on track just a few moments ago. The train of cars, Yonodi to Dawson and P9, has appeared to spread out a little bit. We've got a little bit more of a battle going on further behind, as unfortunately Charlie's had some sort of issue, but we might see an overtake here as Mark Tunick goes to the left hand side. They get the job done, as they will have with the DRS advantage that just allows them to clear the Aston Martin with ease. And that will be changing, of course, in the next DLC of the game, not version. And we've got the Golf livery on the Williams here. One hell of a livery, making the car look very different. That's another yellow. And that's Charlie having more problems, unfortunately. They do have damage, so it's going to be a pit stop, but no safety car deployed. It will give Elwain another opportunity to try and overtake their teammate. This time lap 5 is going to be their attempt, but they hit the curb, and we saw that yesterday. The inside curb will throw you off and lose you momentum. Still looking for the move, turning off the battery eventually and giving up, not going for it in the end. But they do blast their batteries and gain some time, but Sulkin is now ahead of Edvir. And you know, these two fighting each other and blasting the battery pushes them, allowing a bigger gap. That allows Sulkin to go for some slightly more risky moves than they would if they were in a bunch of cars of current tier drivers. So that's possibly how they're able to clear the field a bit easier. But they're still going to have to try and think about things in a safer manner when it comes to the top two in the championship. Well, treat everyone the same, really. But these two are so close together, it's not going to be easy because you effectively have to overtake them both at exactly the same time. That's what I mean. That was a big mistake there for Elwain, but they were not punished for it. Just a slight loss of traction, and they continued on their way. No damage, catching Terence massively as Terence turns the battery all the way down and a bit more to save everything they can. Dark Penguin retires, and that is going to be a full safety car deployed. Devastating for Elwain, who was looking for another attempt at overtaking, and they might have just got the job done, but no, it will not happen in the end. And Terence is now going to have to make a call. Do they go into the pit lane here, or do they stay out? Mark Tunick will get another chance in this race, as their drive-through penalty has been served and they can catch up to the field. Not entirely sure what happened there with Darth Penguin. Struggling in the streets and deploying the safety car. And it will be the pit lane first, well, possibly first for these guys. Although they don't need to go into the pit lane yet, they can do another lap and go around, because the safety car will only drive once the leader has caught up. They still opt for the pit lane. Mark Tunick opts to stay out, and I would do that regardless of if you wanted to pit anyway, because it just gives you a free advantage. They will do so. Charlie there onto another set of medium tyres to go to the end of the Grand Prix, and they've got to hope that they get out ahead of the rest of the field, because they are coming along. Oh my days. No way is this happening. We see Terence go into the pit lane. It's Elwain following along as well. The two teammates dive into the pit lane at the same time. Sulkin stays out. Edvir, sorry, not Edvir. It's going to be Elwain losing out to probably Edvir and maybe even Isaac on track. Oh, it's tight, and it is going to be 2 positions lost for the double stack. Devastating stuff for the championship. Yellowek stays out as well. And an AI car of KFAZ is just going to be in the mix to complicate things further. That is going to be very frustrating to deal with. And Elwain finds himself with basically 3 spaces in between themselves and their teammate, and on equal tyres with 2 of those cars. Could not get much worse. Now, Sulkin and Yellowek stay out, possibly believing that there will be another safety car in this race, which is fair to assume around a circuit like this. Still risky though. Now, can you make it to the end on a set of hard tyres? Probably, but you'd have to be saving a lot. So, I'm not really that... Ooh, that is a big off. And they're going to have to try and rejoin. And that is going to be very, 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 very risky. But they've just got there. And somehow Yellowek is not punished for missing the corner under safety car conditions. Heart rate has to be high now. That is impressive. Very impressive. Now, what Yellowek and Sulkin could do here is pit at the last second, assuming that a lot of other cars on the hard tyre will have to make another pit stop, and then put themselves into clean air, and when all the other cars have to come into the pit lane, they'll slowly make overtakes. Not on track, but just offset to everybody else. It's a big risk, and really if you're going to do that, it's going to have to be in a couple of laps time, so we will probably be going racing in not really that long, so I don't really see why it'd be worth the risk. And I also don't fully know how long the hard compound is expected to last here. It's Sulkin leads the way as the higher tier driver. So it's P1 for the current tier driver of Yellowek. It's Terence in P2. Then we've got KFAZ, Edvir, Isaac on track, Elwain, Yinaldi. We've got Cravato, Dawson, Mark Tunick, and Crazy Charlie there in P12. 2 DNFs in the earlier stages of the race. And 1 virtual safety car and 1 full safety car has been deployed. Mark Tunick hasn't made a pit stop since the beginning, but still just hasn't been able to catch up massively. They're going to have to try and start making some good progress, because the safety car isn't going to wait forever. We've got 1 more lap to catch up. And Charlie is going to have to be thinking about the same thing. Although I'm sure they're hoping that the pit stop situation will come into their favour a little bit later on. Ooh, that's tricky. Very tricky indeed. So we will go racing on lap 10 out of 31. 21 laps to complete of Singapore. Still a very long race. The strategy can go anywhere. The overtakes can be done almost anywhere. And with the pit stops mixing the field up, anyone can end up anywhere. We do need to keep an eye on K-Faz's AI car. Although they are a ghost car and not really in this race. It isn't possible to overtake that ghost car during a safety car period. Or during a safety car restart. So, that does mean that Edvir is going to have to abide by the AI car, and they cannot afford to overtake, otherwise they're going to have a big issue, and I mean a big problem. Hopefully we can see Edvir have patience with that car, because it's not going to be easy. As Sulkin warms their tyres up to get ready to go for the restart here in the night sky, and Yellowek is the one to react. The Mercedes rounds the final corner to catch up to the pack. The safety car is entering the pit lane about now. Sulkin can go at any point. They're just straight lining it, slowly creeping, crawling, trying to catch everybody off guard. When will they go? When will those revs go up? And it's go, 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 go. Brilliant stuff there for Sulkin, and a pretty good restart there for the Sauber car. No, I don't believe it. Contact. Oh, Terence is into the back of the Sauber driver. There's big, big, big issues. Edvir's going to come through. They don't have damage, and they're going to be able to take it, surely. The net race lead, considering the pit stop situation, is potentially going to go to Edvir. Elwain gets a brilliant restart as they overtake Isaac on track and the AI of K-Faz, and with their teammate having the damage after that tragic bit of oversteer from Yellowek, Elwain just can't do any... Terence can't do anything about it. They're going to go defensive, and they're going to try and stay ahead with all of their might, and they're doing a very good job at it, but it means everybody else is just a sandwich of a train. I don't know what's happening. Elwain gets through, Edvir drops back, and now Elwain is going to have the inside line on their teammate. This is a risky manoeuvre. They back out, but Terence understeers. Contact with the wall. What is happening? I'm not entirely sure what the plan is here. I think Edvir might have tried to do something. I don't know. Frustrated with maybe a miscommunication, because I don't think anybody meant anything until the last moment. It's now another 10-second added to Charlie Bear's time, so 20 seconds of time penalties with the reset. And Edvir is now an AI car in this race. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if they will be classed as finished. DRS is now enabled. The Sulkin begins lap 11. It's going to be Yellowek to go through next. Terence drops down after all of that contact, and the championship challenger continues to have woes after highs throughout this roller coaster of a season. Nothing that really Yellowek could have done. They tried to stay still on the circuit. They put the brakes on mid-spin. Terence just couldn't quite react in time to move out the way of any contact. Somehow Elwain's got away with not having any damage. Ooh, and that was almost a big problem. Edvir retires in the pit lane, unfortunately. That was almost a big, big problem there for Isaac on track, who almost found their way to the back of the Red Bull car. Ooh, and that was also very close there. Elwain cutting that inside corner. A little bit more than I would have liked to have seen. Nobody going for the move into the hairpin. They all stay out for now. And there is going to be Yinoldi go through, making progress in this race, finding themselves further up the order. And now into a podium position considering the rest of the field. Unfortunately, I didn't see what happened there as Yellowek dropped down the order. Was that contact with Elwain or Isaac on track? Because now Elwain is in front. Isaac on track doesn't have DRS, but there's no damage, and Yinaldi's catching up. Another yellow. Unfortunately, Dawson this time going down the order as Yinaldi continues to plough the pressure on to Isaac on track here. They do the even tyres, so should be able to get there. We've got Mark Tunick on the back of Yellowick as well, and they'll have the beneficial tyre situation to their side, but they also do need to make another pit stop in this race. Moving to the left-hand side. Not quite getting that. Now to the outside. And switching back again. But no answer. Terrence into the pit lane. As they leave. And they will be behind Charlie. Who is confusingly all over the place. They continue, Sulkin out front. Then Elwain leading for the higher tier drivers. We've got Isaac on track with continuing pressure. Mark Tunick does go into the pit lane. Yellowick, who was not overtaken by the Williams car. Yinaldi gets an opportunity, they go for it, left hand side is their call, and it's the move done with a decent amount to spare. P3 for them. On the same compound the race is on, can they take this to the end? 4.7 seconds Yinaldi now has to try and catch to Elwain. They could have oversteered. Not exactly finding it too great. It's a retirement. On track, but no safety car for Charlie. Another one bites the dust. It's 10 cars on the grid. Privato in P6 at the moment. And Terrence, of course, making that fairly recent pit stop. Mark Tunick as well, and on the medium compound, so we'll see what they can do. Sulkin into the pit lane, we'll likely see Yellowick as well. A more standard strategy for tyres. And it is damage on that Sauber, whether that was a result of when they dropped positions earlier on or not, I don't know. Oh, and they didn't get their front wing repaired. Easily caught out by the F1 game. where it doesn't always decide to repair the wing for you. It's going to be a long old race, although not impossible to complete here for Yellowek. Terence with the fastest lap though. They are going to be looming behind. Mark Tunick does catch up, but doesn't get the fastest lap on Terence. That is an interesting one. It is what it is, and we'll possibly see Mark Tunick find DRS range on Terence shortly. Elwain leads the way by 3.4 seconds as Yinaldi starts to make a bit of progress on the car in front. Isaac on track, 2.5 seconds. They've got Sulkin to try and make 16 seconds on the rest of the field. Due to the the pit stop situation, although we might see the leaders have to come in again at some point. That's not impossible. And that's where maybe a few cars can still gain an advantage, even after a tricky race. No DRS just yet. Mark Tunick loses about 0.2. As we'll see, more problems here for Yellowek. Is that more damage on the left-hand side? They definitely made contact. They move to the right. Terence goes through, and they're just slowing down to allow the Williams to follow as well. And they weren't willing to get involved in anything like that. They stay where they are. They don't go into the pit lane though. Interesting. P8 for them, they'll stay. Mark Tunick now with the fastest lap, as they've got some work to do. That's a pit stop there for the AI car of KFAS. They'll be classed as disconnected and they won't be able to score any points. It still continues to maintain that gap from Mark Tunick, preventing the Williams from getting that DRS. Despite being on the medium tyre, that medium is going to heat up quickly. It's going to be harder to deal with. Now they continue to gain. Terence finds consistency with this hard compound. 4 laps into the stint. And they look to go strongly to the end of the Grand Prix. Sulkin as well, as they make progress on the cars in front. Slight progress this time around for Yinaldi over the last few laps. Elwain still has the significant advantage. These two going at it throughout the season. They continue their journey here in round 7. And Elwain definitely has the higher ground, but Yinaldi has momentum from last time around. P4 for Elwain, P1 for Yinaldi. 3 seconds trying to get that below that margin. This is live commentary. Welcome to the chat. Isaac and Track now finding themselves in a little bit of an empty field. No cars directly behind, no cars in front. Almost like they're just doing time trial on their own here. Sulkin is on their way though. I'll bet you that. Regardless, Isaac and Track still looking for a podium position for the current tier of LSI F1.5 drivers. Sulkin, remember, is a higher tier driver here. Terence now 21 seconds behind the driver of Sulkin as Yellowick gets overtaken with this non-front wing. They're looking to just try and go as long as they can, hoping for a possible safety car. Dawson down in P10. Having a few troubles with the front wing, but Airwayne will pass through without trouble themselves. Now I want to go back to Mark Tunick, who has dropped off quite a lot all of a sudden from Terence. 4 seconds now from going to competing to get DRS, and now nowhere to be seen. Some sort of bigger issue here surely is occurring, unless it really is just the fact that the medium compound has overheated. Ooh, and that's yellow as Dawson retires, and that's their session done. Safety car will not be deployed, I don't believe. I think although that car looks very stationary, yeah, they did retire out on track, so the safety car won't be deployed. We're lucky with that. Will be us continuing. Lap 21 out of 31. 20 out of 31, sorry. Yinaldi 2.3 seconds away. Continues to make progress here on the Red Bull car. Isaac on track, 8.3 seconds. They're getting pressure from Sulkin that's now increasing, and they can see a car directly behind them in the rear view mirror. The question is, will Sulkin have the opportunity to look for the victory later on? Will Airwayne, Yinaldi and Isaac on track have to make another pit stop in this race? Will we see more tyre troubles from drivers like we saw in Australia last week? And this time it would be, instead of Yinaldi being on the benefiting end, it would be Terence. But 21 seconds away from Sulkin, let alone the rest of the field. They're actually 35 seconds away from the race leader. That is a big, big, big gap to gain. So even a pit stop wouldn't be enough for Terence to catch up. We're looking at more of a 20-second pit window. Here it is, Sulkin's caught up. Quicker than I thought. Half a battery ready to be blasted at the ready. Getting a decent ride over that curb. ERS, DRS, they're going to have the momentum, and that should be a good move here for Sulkin. No need for Isaac to fight it. And they know a higher tier driver scores different points relative to themselves, so that overtake doesn't mean too much to them. On track for sure, overall for sure, but where it really matters for their championship, the points will not change. They're still looking at a brilliant podium here for the F1.5 EU Championship. Now that's the closest overtake we have seen. We're going to look at the closest battle that we can try and see in a few laps' time. But also, of course, the hidden battle of tyre wear for a few drivers is going to be a thing. So you can see P1, P2, P4 on your screen right now. They're probably having the sweats at the moment. They know it's not going to be super straightforward, but none of them have dove into the pit lane yet. We might see somebody pit in a lap or two to go on to a set of medium tyres, but if we don't see that, then they're going to try and take it all the way to the end of the Grand Prix. That is a high risk. Isaac on track does go in. Isaac does go into the pit lane. What compound will it be? It has to be the medium tyre. And now we'll see where they come out relative to Terence, and it's actually going to be a lot closer than I thought. No, they're going to get ahead. I didn't think Terence would get ahead, but they are. And it's going to be a gap and a half. Brilliant stuff. There it is. As we see the Williams of Mark Tunick coming along, but not quite getting there. Isaac on track on that medium compound, and we'll see how quick they can go relative to Terence, making contact with that wall. And that's not going to be ideal, but Isaac on track is going to be pushing to the limit. 4.5 seconds, and we'll see what they can do. Will Mark Tunick's tyres give us the preview of what's going to happen to Isaac? Will we see Isaac drop off after just a couple of laps? It's very possible. It could happen. I'm not fully convinced. That's the pit stop there for Yinaldi. Are we going to see Elwain in a lap or so time? And where will we see Terence come out relative to Yinaldi? They're going to come out just behind, but they're going to have warm tyres. They're going to be in the groove with that white wall compound, which ironically is slick. There's no grooves in it, but no pun intended really. Oh no! Contact! Big contact! Terence finds oversteer, makes a... well, I say big contact, it was only actually a light tap. Solkin gets a time penalty in the meantime. That shouldn't affect them massively, but that was a big call there for Terence, and they will go to P4, P3 for the current tier drivers. Yinaldi will stay out 4 seconds in front. Now, what we saw yesterday with the pit stops was Charlie pitted 1 lap earlier relative to their teammate, and it was a 5-second advantage. 5 seconds could be the time gained here from going for the undercut. Is Elwain going to stay out, or are they going to go into the pit lane? To finish the race, the safest strategy is to go to the pit lane. To win the race, the best strategy is to stay out, but it's a high risk, because you do know that that tyre is going to be screaming to the end of the Grand Prix. ERS available. They're not pushing to the limit. Look at their driving. They're going to take this to the end. They're going to try and take this to the end. Even before they got past the pit lane, I knew what they were doing. They're slowing that car right down. They've got 26 seconds to spare for the rest of this race to get those tyres nice and cool, less stressed, and crawl to the end of the Grand Prix. They obviously think they can do it. It looks like they're even dropping it down in the rest of the lap. That's Yellowek retiring, and that's a big crash on the right hand side. The Anderson Bridge catches another driver out. It caught out Frantic yesterday in qualifying. Yellowek in the wall, out of the session, no points to be scored, and no safety car, crucially. Did not expect that one. I did not expect that one. Now, I am slightly confused that Elwain's running it in 7th gear. because in a straight line, not going to 8th gear doesn't affect your tyre wear. And it would actually only use more fuel because you'd be revving the car out higher. So, what the plan is here for Elwain, I don't know. The only benefit that they would have is that they're not going so fast into the corner. So they would be saving some tyre wear on the brakes. You're right, the fight for P4 is getting a bit closer as either contract has made some progress, as I didn't quite expect it to be the case considering what we saw with March Unix tyres earlier on. The heat is on, the game's on, lap 25. There's just a few remaining. And not much battery either, so it is going to have to be the exit that gets it with DRS. It's going to be enough to give them a challenge, but Terence is going to have battery to defend. And they don't feel the need that they can... Oh, need to push too much. A misjudgment from Isaac pushes Terence offline. And they're still going to try and take advantage on the switchback after making the contact. Is that really fair? I don't know. They're still going to take it side by side. Oh, that's as close as it will ever get to the wall. Making contact just lightly. They're not going to be in trouble with that kind of contact with the wall. They will have a full front wing. I think considering the circumstances, they should probably be not too fussed about not being able to get past Terence there, because they did kind of push them offline, but they're now going to have a try on the inside. Oh, and that's going to be very, very close, but braking a little bit too late. They just scrubbed that speed off and they had to brake a bit harder later on into the corner. It's going to be tight to the inside. They go once more, and this time it's going to be the advantage here. Oh no, Isaac on track has missed the switch. I don't believe it. They've missed the move, but Terence has missed the switchback. ERS and DRS isn't available, I thought, for pretty much both driver now. Isaac on track is ahead, and with the faster tyres at this stage of the race. Incredible stuff. Lap 26 out of 31 now, a lap later. And DRS is just about available for Terence. Clean air available for Isaac on track, who's tried to blast the battery here. How is their tyre situation going to develop as the race goes on? That's a time penalty for Cravato, unfortunately, at this late stage of the race. Elwain continues with their tyre. Well, they're going to try and call it a masterclass. They're going a long way on this compound. Still not going to beat the record that Terence went and pulled off last time around. 22 laps on a set of medium tyres. Depends on the context, Mars. It depends on the context. Selkin looks for the move. ERS. Once again, halfway. Just trying to utilise some of the battery, but still have some available in the store. And turning off the battery is Elwain. Whether they were trying to use it or not, I don't know. But Sulkin goes through, takes the racing line, and that is as clean as it will get. Maximum time, or maximum progress made, minimum time lost by making the overtake, and actually possibly some time gained as well. Elwain continues. Now they've got a 17-second gap to the car behind as they crawl their way through the streets. They try and smoothly turn their car through the corners. Get the minimum amount of wear possible. Elwain It's going to be a difficult strategy to pull off, but it will be worth the result in the end if they can. Terence has had a tough time. It's P2 for Yinaldi, P3 for Isaac on track. 2.8 seconds away Terence is from Isaac. I don't think those medium tyres are going to have a problem, and I think the advantage that Isaac on track has had has just outweighed anything from that hard compound, especially as the hard compound has basically got well over double the age on it. So a tough one, but P4 still some good points, although that 3 or 2 point advantage that Elwain has will turn into more of a 2, 4, 6, 8 point advantage. No, that's 8 plus 2, that's going to be 10. 10 points advantage as it would stand right now in the championship if it finishes this way. Have a look in and see what Cravato's doing with these tyres, because these ones are looking pretty old. But they're still trying to get the job done here. You can see the oversteer as they work that steering wheel. Super difficult to deal with. And you just have to hope that you don't get a sudden snap of oversteer as you head towards the wall. Because around here, it can end your race. I even saw a driver hook the wheel on the right hand side here. The wall sticks out as you go across the bridge. Almost looks as if it's jumping out at you. And this is when it's usually the most difficult time to stay in the race. You usually think, yeah, it's going to be the race start. And sure, maybe it is. But when you've got the middle of the race or towards the end and there's no one around you, that's when you forget where you are. That's where you forget that you're in Singapore. And that's where you end your race a bit too early, and not in a good way. You have to make sure you're focused at this stage of the Grand Prix. Do everything you can to take it to the end. Lap 29 out of 31. We've not got too long to go here this evening. Elwain has been counting it down. 12 seconds they have for the car behind of Yinaldi, who was able to pull off the dream last time around down under, but just a few entries over. It's not quite going to be possible. How tentative are they being on those tyres? Using the battery to maximise the pace, 11.7 seconds with 2 laps to go. And we're thinking, looking at the timing page, they've got it in the bag. From their point of view, it might look very, very different. Losing so much time on that straight, clipping out as almost as if it's a 2026 car on the straight. Tolkien has driven a brilliant race this evening, and they've got 1.5 laps to take it to the end. Starting last as a higher tier driver, or second to last, as they were able to start ahead of the disqualified car of, I think it was Dawson in qualifying. But going all the way to P1, the higher tier driver who's competing for the LSI F1 World Championship. That was yesterday in Singapore, and we'll see next weekend how it goes for the Norwegian as they compete against Zingy, the mighty 6-time champion, chasing their 7th. As they will lap the AI car as they begin the final lap of the race, and they'll take the flag. But Irwin has 9 seconds to Yanaldi as they do what they can. Yanaldi sitting in P2 for the EU drivers. And then we have Isaac on track around the final corner to start the final lap in P3. Terence not happy with how the race has gone today, getting pole position by a bit of a margin, I'll have to be honest. Other complications made it very difficult, and it just didn't go their way today. Bravato in P6, they start the final lap of the Grand Prix now, looking to score some good points. And Mark Tunick as well, after a roller coaster of a race, going down all the way to the back of the pack, getting a drive-through penalty to add to it. He had another opportunity with a safety car, but unfortunately more issues meant they dropped down further. Then with the tyres not being in the optimal situational strategy window, it just meant that they dropped down even further. But we will see. Sulkin crossed the line first for all, but Elwain has got just a few more corners to take these tyres to the flag, and they will win the Singapore Grand Prix to extend their championship lead. Elwain rounds the final corner and wins in Singapore. Absolutely perfect stuff. And what a journey they've gone through. Yanaldi gives it their all. Will take P3 on track and P2 for the EU drivers. And welcome to the podium once more. Isaac on track will get there. They didn't see a few cars here and there, but they did have battles throughout the race. It was not straightforward, and they deserve that one very, very much. Terence will score those points that they need for their championship campaign, and I'm sure they will be happy to take anything they can get. Cravato in P6, as they've got Mark Tunick, who is all of a sudden not so far away. But it looks like it will stay as it is as we cross the line here to finish off the evening. Time penalties will allow Mark Tunick to get ahead. And there we go. There is the Singapore Grand Prix. All complete. Sulkin on top. And then we'll go through the results. Sulkin, who takes victory in Singapore. We've got Elwain with P2, then Yanaldi, Isaac on track, Terence, Mark Tunick with the fastest lap. And then we have the disconnected car of Kfaz, followed by DNFing, Yellowek, Dawson, Charlie Bear, Edvir, Darth Penguin, Gonzo Gamer. And that is the grid. The race director is on your screen right about now. We go through the incident section just in case, and then we'll go through the pit stop section. And that is that. We'll export the results, and then we will be back in a bit for the post-race interview. Hello everyone and welcome to the post-race interviews of the Singapore Grand Prix. That was a race that had quite a lot to it, I'll be honest. We start with Elwain. Well, that looked like a pretty treacherous one towards the end. What were those tyres looking like? And you expect that going into this race. It was looking a bit tricky with the kind of the pit stops at the beginning, but then it all kind of came together later on.
Yeah, like my tyres were completely dead at the end. It was more of a management race once after that safety car ended. Mainly because I knew it was going to be tight, so I had to somewhat manage. That's why Ginoldi was catching up a little bit. So once he pit, I knew then I had to slow the pace down and make sure I made it. So that's why Sol can come past quite quick and things like that. But no, it was a good race. I would have pit around lap 14, just like Solkin, if it was a green flag running race, but this happens in racing. It was a good race, really.
Yeah, and
Got everything.
at what lap did you decide that you were gonna go to the end?
Pretty much when Ginoldi pit, I knew at that point, because I only had mediums left, so I would have had to pit at the same time as him, or he probably would have come up right behind me, and I would have lost even more time trying to like either get past or defending with him. So at that point, I was just like, well, I might as well stay out.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. Well, a very, very good call. It's got you victory, and it's extended your championship lead. Congratulations, Elwain, today, and we'll see you
Yeah,
in there.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we move on to Sulkin. Sulkin, I think you're a P6 after like the first sector. It was quite nicely done to cut your way through the field, and yeah, take it to the end. Can you take us through it? Because I don't really know.
Yeah, the start was pretty nice. I just took the advantage of everybody else like having problems, it seemed. And after there, just tried to cruise to the end. Like was battling with some guys. There were some pretty quick guys like Elwin and Janodi here. But yeah, I think I managed the race quite well. It was fun to drive and fun to battle with these guys. So yeah, enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah, it was good. It was a long old race, and the safety cars weren't exactly easy. Well, actually, it was for you because you were the one who led it, so I guess it wasn't too bad. But yeah, well done, Solkin. Very good job. Showed us a good demonstration of pace, and we'll see you next time.
Thank
And we move on to Terence. Terence, brilliant pole position, brilliant pace, but unfortunately, to convert it into the race, it wasn't quite so straightforward. What went wrong today? What was the biggest factor?
Just unlucky, I think, because yellow under safety car restart just spun in front of me. At the first time, I think the first 0.5 second, 0.5 second, the car momentum letting him go to the left, but he kind of managed to correct it. But because I think it's going to be the left, so I actually accelerate more and try to go to the right at the first moment of reaction. But after that, because he corrected, he stay on the racing line. So I try to brake and go to the left, but it's already too late. And the last moment, I think the car, the yellow egg is the yellow egg car is something like pointing to the left, which my front wing caught his left wheel. So yeah, it's just unfortunate. And I know I did nothing wrong. I maybe try to improve my judgment, but not really. I already left about 0.8 seconds to the car. I had to restart. Actually, I prevent all the things I can, but it still happened. So yeah, it's something like about Spain, you know. But
Yeah.
after Spain, I obviously chase down the points a little bit, so I would just keep on doing what I did, and I think, yeah. After all, I think for a damage limitation,
Yeah,
P4 is quite good actually.
yeah, yeah. And if that crash with Yellowek was to not happen, where do you think you'd have been able to finish today? Do you think it would
P1.
have been? Yep, fair enough. But nice and confident this time. That's a big
P1 because
change from last season.
huh?
It's a big change from
Well,
last season. You'd usually say you wouldn't be able to win, but this time now you're saying that you would be able to.
Yeah, because I confirmed that my tire saving is better than anyone else, and also my pace would be consistent to anyone else. So, yeah, after something like 65% hard, it would be a little bit difficult, but my setup corrects it because it spawns with huge unsteer. So after when you got target one, like in Singapore into the braking zone, you feel like something like weight distribution and make your rears feel loose. But my setup prevent that actually. So I think on the last few lap of the race, actually I catch up with Isaac a little bit, but he got something like 10 laps younger mediums.
Right.
So
Yep.
still no way to catch it, but yeah, pretty good. I would say you're just looking forward.
Yeah, it's a tough race, but there's also a hell of a lot of races to go this season, and if there's any circuit that you're going to have a bad race at in a season, it's got to be Singapore. It's just a very difficult circuit, so I don't think you should be too disappointed with that. You gave it a very good shot and you showed what you could do. Thank you very much, Terence. Really good effort today. Still scored some good points, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
And we move on to Yellowek. Yellowek. What happened on the restart? What happened? Absolutely tragic. And then later on, unfortunately, didn't quite finish the race the way you wanted to.
Yeah, so, yes. Maybe let's start with that I had 5 place penalty on the grid after quali before because Crazy Charlie Beer decides to use me as his brakes, and he did the same on the race restart. Oh my god, I'm not mad at this guy because I didn't finish anyway, but oh, this guy wants to kill me definitely. And then I didn't realize it. I realized it later, but I had a throttle issue, and when I was like with my leg, I was pushing my my throttle like to the end. In game, it wasn't to the end, so that was around I think 95% of throttle, and yeah, that was critical because on the restart I think I had a brilliant restart behind Salkin. I read him as a book, and yes, that was really, I'm proud of myself. And I think I would overtake him quite easily even before last corner, or we would get wheel to wheel. But I was not getting anywhere close to him. And then I don't know if that was because of issue or just my skill issue. I hit the curve with too much throttle and I spun, but I managed to save that, which killed Terence, so huge sorry.
You had to make a
Yes,
sacrifice to save yourself from the...
yes,
Yeah.
Terence sacrificed for me, so I can say that I played well with Elwin because you know I took out his his championship leader. But no, I didn't say that. Anyway, under safety car, I decided to put myself in the wall, but last second, I like pull my wheel to the left and I went on the exit road, and I did donuts to like recover to the race, and I didn't lose any position.
I do
Yes,
have to
that was
say we
crazy.
unfortunately did see that on live stream.
Oh no, you're kidding. But one thing you didn't see. Oh my god, no. But one thing you didn't see was my collision with Mark. Yes, it was quite weird, I would say. I don't know if that was my bad. If yes, then a huge apologize to him. But if no, we were in the. I have no idea what corner it is, but that's this best place to overtake on this track. And my defending style is pretty much to took to the outside as long as I can, and then pull to the middle, but not leaving place on the outside still. Like the I want that there will be no space for two cars to yes, and to be, and he went for this gap that I think didn't exist, and we collided. And yes, later I decided to let go as well Terence and Mark because I did enough bad things for them. And there was one wall in sector 2 in on the bridge, and yes, this wall felt very very lonely. I feel this wall wanted to have some friends, so I become one of them and I give him high five. The wall,
Fair
and
enough.
he took me well.
Yeah, a
Yes.
way to end it in style. Fair enough. It's a tough one, but like I said to Terence, if there's going to be a circuit that you have a bad race at, it's going to be this one. Imola, it's going to be much better. First time we've raced there in a while as well, so you can make a mark. Thank you very much, Yellow, and we'll see you next time. And we move on finally to Isaac, who got a lovely podium. How about that, Isaac? It was a bit of there were a few moments where you had no one around you, but then there were a few moments where you had lots going on around you. How did you find all of the chaos in the safety cars?
Yeah, it was all right to be honest. Managed to call the right strategy and make the right moves so we could get Terrence at the end and stuff. And yeah, it was a good race.
Yeah, it was very much so. And is that your first podium? I thought you may have had another one, but I'm not entirely sure.
I had a sprint podium, but
This
not
is your first
exactly a
Grand Prix
Grand Prix
podium.
one. But yeah,
Absolutely awesome. Congratulations, Isaac.
thank
Absolutely
you.
perfect. We've seen the improvements over the races that you've done with us, and I think you should be very proud of yourself today. Well done,
Thank
and
you.
hopefully it can go just as well, or maybe even a bit better in Imola. Do you think you can win in Imola?
I don't know. I've always struggled at Imola, so I have to do a bit of practice, and then hopefully we can be near the front. But yeah, we'll see.
Awesome. I can't wait. I look forward to it. Thank you very much, Isaac. Well done today.
Thank you.
And that's been it for the post-race interviews. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. We will see you next weekend for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, Imola, San Marino, whatever you want to call it. Have a good one, and good night.